What's going on, everybody? It's your boy C-Zar, and we are talking about Bitcoin today, BTC USD. Hit that like button, subscribe if you want to see more content like this, and let's get into it, my friends. It is the 27th day of September, and here we are at about $109.3 thousand with 11 hours and 23 minutes left in the day. We had a little bit of a move up yesterday, but it's not quite to the extent that I was expecting that we would move. My expectations were that we would move up to about 112, maybe even just above there, something up in this area. Reason being, if we take this relative high here to a relative low here, the 382 is right there, and typically you would expect that you wick a little bit above the 382. So a little bit above it might be 112.5, 112.3, something in that area there. And then beyond that, the 382 here lines up pretty well with the prior areas of daily closing lows where we found a little bit of support there, daily closing highs here where we found resistance, and some support back here as well. So somewhat of a significant area there at 112 to 112.5K. Looking at the liquidation levels, let's do that real quick before we get too much further into this. I'm still assuming, by the way, that not only do we move up a little bit, but that we move down afterwards, right? And we're probably going to see lower lows than what we had back over here. At this point, I'm starting to really consider that we see lower lows. But time will tell. We'll see. By the end of this video, I might have a different perspective, so stick around, okay? 30-day time frame here for Bitcoin. The longs are outweighed by the shorts at a tremendous level, but there's still a tremendous amount of longs. We still have about $8 billion in longs, and I have a feeling that job's not finished until we clear all of them out. We'll clear out the majority of these longs, I mean, really at right below 106K. So that would be a slightly lower low. Imagine that, right? Imagine all this just to get a slightly lower low, something like right here, and then we move up. That's it. People panic at the worst time. It's not like that's ever happened before, right? Where you break below your discernible low, where you think that you're breaking out to new all-time highs, and then you get a massive dump and you see a slightly lower low, and that's the point that you start to rip. That's never happened before. We've never seen that before ever. Really, it's quite rare whenever you take out your most discernible low and it's like a barely lower low, and then right there after you have that drop for over like 2 or 3 weeks, when you see a barely lower low, that's whenever you take off. We've just never. It's not something that seems to happen where you take out this low and then you go slightly lower and then that's when you take off. You know what I mean? That's not. We haven't seen it happen at all this whole cycle, really. Like it just doesn't seem to happen at all. So all I'm trying to say there is it might happen this one time where we do go a little bit below this level here, clear out all of these longs right there at about 106K and maybe even a little bit below there. And then we move up. Then once all the longs are cleared out and the shorts are piled on, that's whenever we move higher. Okay, that might happen. I don't know. It's never happened before, clearly. So we'll see. I know I'm stepping out on a wacky limb here. I hope everybody can pick up on the sarcasm. Okay, from a low to a high, we hit the 1414, hit the zero point 0.5, kind of extreme volatility within this fib range. The 0.5, fun fact, is actually not a Fibonacci retracement. It's not a fib. It's just something that we use, right? The 0.5, it's because the reason why, and for anybody that hasn't connected the dots, these are all percentages, right? So low to high, the 0.5 is half. It's right in the middle of this range, right? That's what the point. It's 50%, half. 236, that's 23.6%. 886, 88.8%, right? So 88.6%. Low to high, this is 88.6% of this overall range. Like if you're filling it down, anyways. The 1618, the next fib target is at $105,000. 106K, 105K. By the time what's $1,000 between $105,000 asset? By the time we get down there, more longs will probably be piled on to that 105K level, and who knows? Maybe we take it out. Maybe we dip into this a little bit. But overall, I would expect that we decimate these longs, and then we start to move higher. The longs outweigh the shorts over the past 24 hours. Look at the 7-day. A lot of these longs get cleared out right below 106K. So I just think it makes a lot of sense to go to that area. And with that being said, also, I meant to look at the shorts. A lot of these shorts, this kind of initial wall here gets taken out at about 111K. We might move up to 112, 112.5K first, and then and then move down. I mean, 112.3 clears out all the shorts that have been placed in the last 24 hours. So very, very possible there. Anyways, moving on from that. If I say longs or shorts one more time in this video, I don't even know, man. Lose my stuff. Here we are, $109.5 thousand. Let's look at the short-term stuff, okay? 1 hour time frame and all that kind of stuff. So here we are, moving sideways. I must admit, this is probably the worst outcome that you could have if you're trying to be bullish at all, right? Just for the 1 hour. We're clearly bullish. The bull market's still intact. We're not going to the depths because of what this 1 hour time frame looks like, unless the depths are like right here. We're not breaking out of the bull market cycle or anything like that. But here, moving down and then having a horizontal channel like this is perfect structure for going lower, right? We did the same thing back here, and what you had actually was a little bit of a bull trap before you went down. So don't be mesmerized if we get that same kind of thing to happen this time, where we get a little bit of a bull trap and then we go down. This one might be more pronounced than the last one. It's very possible. It is Saturday. It is the weekend. The weekends are notorious for being boring, and if they're not boring, they're notorious for being misleading. What do I mean by misleading? I mean, if we move up over the weekend, we'll move down over the week. If we move down over the weekend, we'll move up over the week, okay? That's typically what happens. They're misleading. But all in all, typically from a weekend standpoint, we don't really close 4% higher or lower from where we closed on Friday. So being that we closed, let's see, we closed here on Friday, right here. I doubt we close 4% higher or lower from that area by the end of this weekend. Typically, we don't even, it's not even like 3.5% or 3%. Let's just see. With that being said, we could definitely hit 105K. We definitely could. Sometimes we wick in the weekends and then we come back up and close, but we just don't get a lot of movement, right? We don't see movements like this happen over the weekend typically. At least not sustained. Anyways. 1 hour RSI looks bullish enough, but typically whenever you do this kind of behavior, when you have like a trend like this and then you break out of it, typically that's not good. Typically, right? Here, you broke out of it, you went to the oversold zone before you started to move up, okay? Here, you had an uptrend right here, then you broke out of it, you found support, whatever, you were doing your thing, but inevitably went oversold, right? Typically, it's not good to break out of your trends, especially before you get into the overbought zone. If you break out of it once you're in the overbought zone, sometimes in very bullish circumstances, you kind of continue to move sideways and do stuff like this, and that's actually very, very bullish stuff, even if you break out of your trend that way. But you know, I don't like that look right there personally. That could mean that we go lower over the coming hours today. Stochastics are also kind of weird, but you're moving sideways, so these indicators aren't going to be as reliable. What I will say that I don't like the most is that this MACD is green. You're building bullish momentum this whole time, and all you're doing is moving sideways. But when you build bearish momentum, you make moves down. When you do it to the bullish effect, you're just not moving down. That's not bullish at all. That's sad. Like, your strength is just not giving up any position to the downside. 4 hour time frame, we do have this look of bullish divergence, I will say. Is it bullish divergence? That's debatable, I suppose, because you do have higher lows here, but it's also a lower low relative to this low here, right? If it is bullish divergence, that would be good for a move all the way up to about 112.6K. So again, if we go above 112.5K, even though I'm calling for 112 to 112.5K, if we go above 112.5K, don't get excited, okay? Whenever I called here, I said 113.8K is where we would go. We went to 114K, I think. Yeah, I said 113.8K. We went $200 higher. If you got excited there, you literally got excited at the wrong point in time. So if we go $200 higher or $50 higher, I don't care, than 112.5K, that's not enough to get excited over, okay? Get excited when the price moves back above 114K. Then you can get excited, okay? Till then, it's just noise. Stochastics look like they want to come up too. And the MACD crossing green here makes me think it wants to come up a little bit at least. The price. The 1 hour is less consistent, but the 4 hour tells me that we're probably going to move up a little bit, okay? So Not financial advice, not a financial advisor. Even if we go down from here, even if we see a slightly lower low, I'm kind of waiting to see this move up to about 112K, somewhere around here, okay? I'm waiting to interact with these prior lows. I'm waiting for us to interact with the overall 382 from this high here to this low here, right there at the 382, right? That's exactly what we did this last time, high to low. You interacted with the 382. It's very common to wick above the 382 yet to close below it, okay? Very, very common. Waiting for that. Not only that, but this area here is also a semi-significant area of resistance going back here. If we put a line right there at the 382. Resistance here, support right there, resistance right there, support right here, support right there, right? It makes sense. It makes sense that that's what we're going to do. We don't have to. By the way, I could be wrong, and if I'm wrong, we could just make our way down here. We don't have to move up first. Ultimately, I suppose ultimately the target is $500,000, but before we move higher, my expectation would be that we do move below 106K. How much lower remains to be seen. If we get to 106K and people are still piling on billions of dollars worth of longs, then maybe we go lower. But if we hit 106K, 105K, and longs are just decimated, nowhere to be found, and everybody's shorting, we're probably going to move up at that point, okay? Oh, I said it though, didn't I? I said the words long and short again. All right, let's look at this on the daily time frame, and then we'll wrap this up. The RSI looks friendly because you are bouncing off the oversold zone, and let's be fair, since April, this is something that you've upheld. Since March, you have not been in the oversold zone. This is the exact area that you bounced. So the call to go lower defies logic, at least since March of this year. This has been the most appropriate time to buy. Not only that, the crypto fear and greed index, you guys, let me refresh it here. Let's see if it's still the same, but 32. That's the lowest we've seen since April, right? Lowest in the RSI that we've been in since March or April. Lowest readings on the crypto fear and greed index. Even if this isn't the low, you got to admit that we're pretty damn close to it, right? So 105, 106K sounds about right. 34, we came up a little bit. People are a little bit hopeful. Still in this fearful zone, right? The last time we were this low in the fear and greed index was all the way back here, and that was April, you guys. April was the last kind of significant low for Bitcoin, right? That was all the way back here. That was that low there. I think that we're going to see a lower low. But again, even if not, don't count on it, because we are clearly getting the signs that we are near these low points, right? With the fear and greed index, with the RSI looking the way it does. If we're not at the low, we're very near it, or we could very well be at it here. I could be wrong. I could be wrong. I know it sounds crazy. I could be wrong. We might not go lower. Maybe we hold. Maybe this is the first time we get a higher low instead of a slightly lower low before moving higher. And that's fine. That's fine if we do. There's a lot of institutional attention on this thing. People are buying this thing in droves. Stochastics look bearish, and the MACD is bearish as well, but the MACD is kind of inconsistent. Whenever you get this crossing below the zero, crossing above the zero, crossing below, it's kind of disrespected, and that's because you're just moving sideways overall. I will say, though, this is a bearish look on the daily MACD. It's a bearish look on the stochastics. It's even bearish on the RSI, but the one thing that makes it bullish is the fact that you haven't gotten oversold since April or March. Maybe we're overdue, and that's what'll happen. We get oversold. First time we've been oversold since February, actually. And then that'll be our low point. But time will tell. Inevitably, I do believe that we're going to go higher. I meant it when I said $500,000. I believe that's our cycle ending top. We're going to have a very phenomenal time. I actually want to play a little clip here from something that I posted. Not something that I made from, I don't know who this guy is, APSK32. This guy right here. I'm going to mute myself, okay? We'll play it. All right, guys. So this part right here, right? In case anybody can't figure out what he's saying here, right? So he took his logarithmic regressions, the time frames, all that stuff. He lined up where we are right now. The orange is where we are. These are all past cycles, okay? These are all past cycles. And right at this point, for every single one of them, is where we started to rip. We really started to rip. Now, to be fair, we ripped last cycle. We ripped here. This was supposed to be the finale phase, but we had a double top. Even then, we still had a nice move up here, right? I doubt that we're going to see this kind of movement. I think it'd be more akin to what we saw the prior two cycles. But in case you can't figure out what's being said here, it's just maybe just watch it again with that aspect in there. I'm sure a lot of you can pick it up, but some people just have a hard time with charts, and that doesn't, you're not smart or dumb because you can understand a chart. Sometimes we just visually, unless you have somebody telling you what to look at, you just don't understand. And I get that. So sometimes that's how it is. But then once you hear it, maybe something clicks, you watch it again, it makes more sense. I don't know. Anyways, I got nothing else for you guys. I very much believe Bitcoin's about to go on a massive finale run. It's going to go on a massive bull run here soon. I agree with what this guy's saying. You just got to hold out. Say a little prayer down on my knees. I'm going to take you there. She's going to take us there. Bitcoin's going to take us there. I got nothing else, you guys. Hit the like button. Subscribe. Take care of yourselves. Bye-bye.